December 9th, 1945, a fateful morning. On a quiet Sunday morning in occupied Germany, General George S. Patton sat in the back of his sleek 1938 Cadillac en route to a pheasant hunt. Accompanied by his chief of staff, General Hobart Gay, Patton was filled with anticipation. He planned to fly home to America the next day. His intentions were grand. He aimed to write his memoirs, revealing what he called the catastrophic mistakes that allowed Stalin to seize control of Eastern Europe after the war. Unbeknownst to him, this would be his last day alive. A few moments later, a 2.5-ton army truck would veer into the path of his car, leading to a tragic collision that would ultimately claim his life just 12 days later. The official story. The official narrative surrounding Patton's death is straightforward. A tragic accident followed by a blood clot that led to his demise. This explanation feels especially hollow when considering that Patton had navigated the horrors of 3 years of combat without a scratch, only to meet his end in a car crash. However, the narrative doesn't end here. It only raises further questions. The accident, a series of oddities. The accident occurred at 11:45 a.m. on an obscure road near Mannheim. Patton's driver, 19-year-old Private Horace Woodring, was traveling at about 30 miles per hour when the truck, driven by Technical Sergeant Robert Thompson, turned left directly into their path. Woodring had no time to react, and the Cadillac crashed violently into the truck. First oddity, Patton was the only one severely injured. Woodring and Gay walked away with minor injuries, while the men in the truck emerged unscathed. How could this happen? Second oddity, high-ranking Army officers arrived at the crash scene within minutes, despite it being a quiet Sunday on an obscure road. How were they alerted so quickly? Third oddity, the official accident report has mysteriously vanished. When Lieutenant Peter Bobelise, the military police officer who filed the original report, sought a copy years later, he was told no such report existed. Fourth oddity, Sergeant Thompson, the truck driver, disappeared shortly after the accident, reportedly flown to England for his own protection. His personnel file vanished, and his whereabouts after December 1945 remain unknown. Hospitalization, a glimmer of hope. Patton was rushed to the 131st Station Hospital in Heidelberg, about 12 miles away, rather than the closer hospital in Mannheim. This choice remains unexplained, particularly for a man with a broken neck. At the hospital, doctors discovered he had fractured his third cervical vertebra and dislocated the third and fourth vertebrae, rendering him paralyzed from the neck down. Beatrice, Patton's devoted wife, flew in from Boston to be by his side. For 12 days, he lay in bed, his condition stabilizing. He was alert, conversing, even joking with visitors. On December 20th, doctors were cautiously optimistic. He might live, albeit in a wheelchair. The sudden turn. But on December 21st, everything changed. Patton told a nurse, "I'm going to die today." At 5:55 p.m. that evening, while Beatrice was away at dinner, his heart stopped. The official cause of death was listed as pulmonary embolism and congestive heart failure, a blood clot traveling to his heart, a not uncommon fate for paralysis patients. However, Beatrice refused to authorize an autopsy, despite the Army's request. Some speculate she was simply grieving, while others believe she may have been protecting secrets that could emerge from a post-mortem examination. The conspiracy theories emerge. Almost immediately following Patton's death, conspiracy theories began to circulate, centering on a man named Douglas Bazada, a decorated World War II veteran and OSS operative Bazada claimed in 1979 that he was hired to assassinate Patton. Bazada's claims, he alleged that the truck collision was staged, and as chaos ensued at the crash site, he shot Patton with a specialized projectile designed to kill without leaving a trace. When this failed, he claimed an NKVD agent administered a lethal dose of cyanide in Patton's hospital room, disguised as a natural cause of death. While Bazada maintained his story until his death in 1999, his claims have never been substantiated or disproven. The motives behind such an assassination become clearer when you consider the political climate of the time, the political landscape. By late 1945, Patton had become increasingly vocal against the handover of Eastern Europe to Stalin. He referred to the Soviets as a synthesis of all evil and suggested rearming the Germans to confront the Red Army. His outspoken nature led to his removal from command of the Third Army and relegation to a desk job, a move many interpreted as an effort to silence him. Historians suggest that Patton had powerful enemies in Washington, including General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Some speculate that Eisenhower himself wanted Patton silenced, fearing what Patton might reveal in his memoirs or a potential political campaign. The unanswered questions. The evidence surrounding Patton's death is circumstantial but troubling. The missing reports, vanished witnesses, refusal of an autopsy, and Bazada's confession all point to a narrative that suggests something more sinister than a simple accident. What we know: George Patton accurately predicted the Cold War's onset and the eventual Soviet domination of Eastern Europe. His warnings were prescient. Within 3 years of his death, his predictions came true. The call for reinvestigation. In 2008, journalist Robert Wilcox published Target Patton, advocating for a closer examination of the general's death. Similarly, in 2014, Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard called for a reopening of the case in their book Killing Patton, highlighting the holes in the official story. The legacy of a general. George Patton once stated, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived." He lived a life filled with extraordinary achievements, from revolutionizing armored warfare to playing a pivotal role in major battles across Europe. Yet, less than a year after the war's greatest victory, he died under suspicious circumstances. As we reflect on the legacy of George Patton, we are left with haunting questions. Was this truly an accident, or was it a calculated assassination to silence a powerful voice? The witnesses are gone, the reports are missing, and the only man who confessed took his secrets with him to the grave. The feeling lingers that perhaps, just perhaps, someone got away with killing America's greatest general. As we continue to examine this story, we must remain curious about the truths hidden in history, truths that powerful individuals may wish to keep buried.